guys? It's your boy, that guy again. Back again with I don't know what this time. So I think the last time we finished most of the C++ stuff. I'm gonna leave the rest of it kind of as an exercise to you the viewer to kind of take care of or look at or try and explore and fiddle with like what can be done for for the rest of I don't know the entire game. There's still quite a few things that can be improved. The collision detection can be like the circle rectangle intersection. There's a whole bunch of different things you can add, like realistic like rigid body physics. You can just like add box 2D to it and add the what's it the solver. You can like add delta time to the solver and then let it run every frame. There's lots of stuff you can do to it. I didn't really want to dive too deep because I feel like 10 or 12 hours of coding that little game seems to be enough. We explored a lot of different concepts. We handled a lot of different bits and pieces. I'm super happy with how far it came. If we want to, we can, if there's some demand for it, then we can look at maybe adding in like an extra series, a supplementary step where we actually go and refine away like a lot of the stuff I saw in the last video. I added some code for get monitor info, which we don't actually use. There's a couple of comments and a couple of message handlers in the Windows message pump that we're not actually using. So there's some potential. But I've actually been looking at like what is there that's something exciting. I mean, we can sit and we can write the same thing, in JavaScript, C++. That's all good and well. But I mean, if you've seen JavaScript and you've seen C++, I mean, that kind of represents the entire range of I don't want to say the entire range, but it represents a big chunk of the coding spectrum, right? Like it doesn't go much further than doing it on a natively compiled language with very little overhead, sitting almost directly on top of the operating system's support structure, all the way over to doing it in a browser, like with all the freaking support in the world that you can ask for. You've got the entire browser, you've got entire rendering systems dedicated, you've got entire loops and pumps dedicated to just like throwing your frames on the screen. The browser is such a nice environment. Obviously it is a little bit limited, but I mean, with the hardware acceleration that you gain from like WebGL, those limitations aren't really that prevalent. I mean, obviously, yes, of course, there's still like the sandboxing that the browser does, but like in terms of a game, all you really need is input and render. If you do need to do like multiplayer, then you're kind of stuck because you can't really do true UDP from a browser. You can do WebSockets, you can do plain old TCP with long polling and like little REST calls, but I mean, it's not too crazy. It's not ideal, but it's not too crazy. I've seen a lot of developers just kind of do WebSockets and be happy with it. You can't obviously do like twitchy games with it, but that's fine. So for this series, I decided let's go for Rust. Right? I did a little bit of digging, and Google's Go is really nice, but I don't like the syntax. Like I've worked with a lot of different languages, and like I think Go just falls slightly short of the mark for something that you can pick up easily, right? The syntax is horrible, like horrible. And this is coming from a guy who likes C++. And I enjoy C. I enjoy C++. I've recently like picked up and polished off my little Bash terminal. I've started doing like Bash scripting. I'm loving it. Bash is obtuse, obstinate, and kind of it's like when you ask your significant other, hey, is everything okay? And they say it's fine. But like there's 50 different like interpretations for the word fine. It's kind of what Bash is like. And even with all that, even like doing Python, assembly, all those kind of finicky languages, I still didn't like Go when I picked it up. So I mean, I was really excited. I'm a very big fan of the Google ecosystem. I am an Android developer. It's one of the first things that I enjoyed picking up and just loved it. I've built like little throwaway things on the phone. I've built games, I've built apps, I've built like live wallpapers. I've had fun with Android, and I'm loving the ecosystem because it's Java based. I wanted to pick up Kotlin. I didn't like Kotlin. I wanted to pick up Dart. I didn't like Dart. Again, it's just a learning curve. I looked at Rust, and I do like what Mozilla is doing as an organization, but I don't really kind of go out of my way to support their stuff. You see, I'm very tightly bound up in the Google ecosystem. This is Chrome. I am registered as a Google Play Store developer. I've got apps out there. I've written these things. In fact, that is mine. That thing, yeah, it doesn't work anymore because these guys blocked off the API. But yeah, I've written these things. I know a lot of the ecosystem for Google. Don't worry, I'm not trying to shout out Google. I'm not interested in a job within the ecosystem. Is not really something that I'm interested in. Microsoft ecosystem is something that I'm very interested in. But again, I'm not really, like you can see, I'm one of the old school guys. I work on like Win32 and whatever, which is great for Windows 11 because the Windows 11 is showing up with Win32 support. I just wanted to check while I talk. I can probably try and do this. Oh yeah, it's gonna take a while. So I looked at Rust, like a very cursory look at Rust, and I wanted to kind of go on a little journey and see if I can pick up the syntax. Like, I need to learn something new. I've been working in like 5 or 6 languages for my my gainful employment. I've been working like 5 or 6 languages like last week, and before that another 3 languages. I mean, we jump around a lot. So I just wanted to pick up something new that I can enjoy for myself, right? So I kind of looked at Rust and I said, well, that looks like fun. And I do realize there's a huge learning curve for Rust, but I'm hoping that I can kind of pick up the syntax a little bit if possible. Hopefully, not just hopefully. So the idea would be, you download the installer, run the program, and follow the on-screen instructions. Well, that seems straightforward enough. I am on Windows 64-bit, so I just grab this 64-bit exe. I think the website determines your operating system based on your browsers. What do they call that string? Your browser. Like, it's not a query string. It's like that user agent. Sorry, based on your browser's user agent, I think it determines it. So like, it figures out you're on Windows, it presents you with these executables, and if you're not on Windows, it presents you with probably some kind of option like that. So let's get Rust up on. So I want to start from scratch. I basically don't know anything about Rust. Like, I looked at like some little bit of information, but I just don't know, right? So I'm kind of new at this, right? x8664 PC, Windows, toolchain style, okay, profile default, modify path, yes. Proceed with installation, default, customize installation, cancel installation. So what does this mean? I don't like this. This means it's gonna sit inside my it's gonna throw things inside on my C drive. Right? I'm just opening the C. You can see the little window sticking out here. I'm opening up this PC on C drive. Doesn't really have that much space. I want to customize this installation. So 2. I'm going to ask you the value of each of these installation options. You may simply press the enter key to leave unchanged. Default host. Yes. Stable. Default. Yes. Oh, so basically that did nothing because I need to go and welcome to Rust. The metadata and the toolchains will be installed there. The cargo will be installed there. Cargo home environment variable. Okay, I guess I can just modify it later. I don't like working on the C drive. I like working on the D drive because you can actually dismantle it, take it with you, clone it, do whatever. I don't like working straight on the C drive. So yes, 1 proceeded installation. just do the thing, right? So right off the bat, I'm unimpressed. Like most installers for things these days, they give you a little GUI. I know it's that what's it, Inno setup compiler system that they use, and that GUI gives you the opportunity to choose a folder where you can install things. Yeah, kind of straight off the bat, they kind of force me to fiddle with the path, even though they don't really tell me much about what's going on. Like, I think the big issue is right off the bat they're using jargon, right? What is Rastup? I guess Rastup is the compiler. Oh, and then secondly, they're doing this, which kind of scrolls my. I can solve that. That's a solved problem. I can just do that. Nope, it's not a solved problem. So Rust and cargo are the two kind of variables I need to go and update. So I could pause. We don't really have to sit and wait for this. Let me just pause. I'll be back when this is done. Hey, I'm back. So as you can see, a couple of minutes have passed. Rust install, that installer thing kind of just like finished, and I guess one of the first steps we need is to create a project. In my terminal of choice, run cargo new hello Rust. Okay, so it's going to create stuff. Let's see, I have moved into a directory for Rust. Let's just see, does it find, oh, it does find cargo. Great, so the path has been modified and I've started up this new PowerShell. So let's see what we do. Cargo new. So what I actually wanted was, I want to start off with like a little hello world executable, but ultimately what I want is a way for, I'd like to have a way to I haven't really defined the idea of the project well, but I'd like a web server kind of thing where I can upload files to it, right? And there is going to be a folder per user and I can upload files. That's it. That's literally all it is. Like later down the line, I'd probably add in like WebSockets and stuff so that I can sync from my mobile device. So I take a photo or whatever, instead of it going to a G drive or photos or wherever, I'd like it to sync to PC, maybe sitting somewhere on the network, maybe the home server or DVR media center, wherever. Like maybe do multiple, sync to multiple, but something along those lines. I'd like to be able to just kind of instead of having to fiddle with like a shared folder or something along those lines, which is a little bit difficult. I'd like to create maybe an Android app at some point where I can register a service that is a share provider, and when I say share, I'd like it to pop up my little app icon and click on it and share to the app, and then that actually uploads the file, but over the local network onto the remote machine. The remote machine is somewhere. Then from the maybe if you want to download a file from there, then you would open the actual app and the app will sync with that machine, like just a list of file names, and then you'd click on something and it would download it to your local storage. So kind of like Google Drive, but without actually having to use any of the Google stuff. I'm going to use the Mozilla stuff now, so hopefully that kind of solidifies an idea at least. So I'd probably call it like, it's not truly a NAS, it's not really a network attached storage, it's more like a file server. It's literally just a file server. So let's say cargo new file dash server. I guess that's fine, right? So what's it, cargo new file servers. Let's create that. Let's see if it actually creates it. So ls, there, it creates my folders. So cd file server ls, there. So I've got a source folder, a git ignore folder, I guess that's fine, and then a cargo.toml. What is a toml file? Source main.rs is where we will write the application code. Cargo new generates a hello world project for us, and cargo run. and then cargo run. So just straight off the bat, I should be able to say cargo run because I'm in that folder. What does it do? Let's see what I actually did to my file system. There's the source folder, which contains the Rust file. There's my target folder, which contains, let's see, alice target rust info.json, alice target debug. Okay, so there's a bunch of stuff, but there's also an exe file, and that exe file size is that 14 kilobytes. Let's just do this. Oh, sorry, that's a Mac command. You have to do Explorer in Windows. The place of my gainful employment actually has they use MacBook something. I guess it's just a MacBook Pro or MacBook or whatever, but they use MacBooks, and that kind of throws me for a loop because whenever I kind of stop working on the MacBook and I come over to Windows, not only is kind of copy paste and anything else just hilariously different because it's a different set of keys. It's also kind of just it's unwieldy because the command set you work in the terminal command set is slightly different for each one, so it does kind of get on the on the interesting side. So this is 140 kilobytes. Not bad. So let's see. Do I have VS Code? Yeah, VS Code. I can just open this thing with VS Code and see what happens, right? What do I have open here? Open folder. Let's open a folder. The repos coding.2. Excuse me. File server. Select folder. So this file server folder is what I'm actually interested in. I wonder if there are like reasonable Rust integrations for this. I'd like to go on this thing's terminal and kind of do what I need to do. I just need to kind of get an idea of the command. So it's just cargo run, which just does the bold thing, right? What does Ferris do? What does Ferris do? Ferris say. Okay, here we go. Ferris say from the previous step. Use std.io, std.out buffwriter, and std.out is std.out. Message is that. Width equals the length of it, and then say. Why do you have to unwrap? Oh, you have to unwrap it because Ferris takes a byte string. Is that what that means? Let's see what is actually in here. Currently it just does print line hello world. Okay, great. So let's learn what the heck. I don't actually need Ferris. I want to have let's just Rust web server. I read what is it? I read one of these like. Don't tell me there's an actual crate for HTTP server because that just kind of solves my problem, right? Final project building a multi-threaded web server. That's a little bit beyond my my current. What does warp do? Let's go read about warp. Let's go read about hyper. These two things look interesting. Hyper composable web server framework. What does Tokyo do? Why do I have to mark it async? Isn't this like exactly what I need? And then from there I can fiddle with like sockets and things. That looks super promising. Like super promising. How do I add this to my dependencies? Hyper is low level. If you want an HTTP client, you consider request. If you're looking for an HTTP server, you consider warp. Warp is built on top of Hyper. Okay, so Hyper is like the lowest level you can get. I'm not too interested in going at the low level. I'm more interested in getting kind of nice quick turnaround for it. So how do I add dependencies? Let's just grab this thing. Yeah, in our cargo.toml file we'll add dependencies. Okay, nice and easy. So I guess this is how you add in dependencies. Control and not command. Let's grab that cargo.toml file. Oh, yeah, so here's a line for dependencies. Great. So I'll just do Tokyo and warp. I'm not sure what Tokyo does. Very interested in what warp does. Warp seems like it's going to be the thing that I need. And then for warp, you need to actually use warp, right? Let's just copy this whole thing. I'm not really sure why any of this is the way it is, but the best way to learn is by doing. So let's just grab this. Let's see. I don't think I have a language filter pack for. I don't care about Tamil files. I don't think I have a language filter pack for Rust. I'm like sincerely convinced that I don't have a language filter pack for Rust. So let's see, 3030. I don't believe 3030 is used by anything else. Let's assume it's not. Get hello whoop. This doesn't make sense. Get hello. Oh, serve hello equals whoop path hello string map name format hello parameter name. Does this mean if I serve this and type hello anything, it will put hello anything here? Because that's nice, but that doesn't actually solve the problem. I need to go open a file. I'll learn how to open a file now. Let's just grab this. So what I want here is the terminal. Just make terminal. Hopefully it's a PowerShell window. That's great, and it's in here. So what is that? Cargo run. Okay, so it's gonna update the crates. Do like a whole bunch of stuff that might take a while. If it takes more than 10 seconds to do whatever it does, then I'll just pause again and we'll pick up when it's done updating. Yeah, let's just pause it a bit. Okay, so we should be back. It's gone and downloaded, it's done a bunch of stuff. For those of you who haven't seen my hoodie, this is a hoodie I got from the Developer Economics Survey. It's like my favorite hoodie of all time, you know, because it has, well, it's my second favorite hoodie of all time. I have a One Punch Man hoodie. That's like, it's one of the most epic things ever. I got this through answering the Developer Economics Survey questions. What are they called now? I think these guys updated their name to the Developer Nation, if I'm not mistaken. So, you know, if you are a dev, and it doesn't matter what field you're in, if you're leaning more towards, you know, front end or back end or full stack, doesn't matter. If you're going in embedded or server side, it really doesn't matter what kind of work you're doing. Machine learning, data analytics, anything. Right? If you touch a line of code, go and kind of help them out. They do these surveys and it's very quick. It takes maybe 10-20 minutes of your time once every couple of months, and it helps. They compile the information, they send it back to you, they give you some insights into what's going on in the world around you. I learned like last year that despite having been in my gainful employment, despite having been underpaid in previous years because the company was small and we were working super hard to kind of getting towards where we need to be, They have brought me on par now with the average for what I'm supposed to be getting based on my skill set and my number of years. With the world the way it is now, it is time. Like my IT brethren, it is time. Like if you are dissatisfied with the way things are, don't be afraid to kind of look at the survey and see where you fit in on the scale, and then maybe throw an eyeball sideways. I'm not saying like abandon your company. Some level of loyalty is nice, but just look around. Maybe you can negotiate with your team leads, your managers, your upstream people. But yeah, these guys are awesome. Like I was one of the first people to fill out the surveys when they first started, and they sent me this hoodie as a thank you. I've got another one over there with it's a sweater that I won. It was the draw. I don't know what it was, like a prize draw, but it's also a really cool sweater. It's got like a buffalo thing on it. And at some point, actually, I got another sweater before that with a little whale thing on it. Yeah, I've been winning stuff from them for a while. But yeah, this is like my prize, my second most prized article of clothing beyond my One Punch Man hoodie, which my wife got for me from like China. And this thing came from the UK, so it's really nice. It's comfy. I did take it oversized, but it's super warm. But I think it's like 8 degrees Celsius in Cape Town right now, so I'm wearing my my jersey underneath it. We were outside earlier. It was super cold. I think it should be ready. Is it running? Well, while I was talking, things happen. So if I go, do I even have curl installed? I don't have curl. Oh, curl doesn't have Internet Explorer engine. Okay, cool. Maybe I can. Oops, I'm looking at my transmission. Maybe I can just do localhost 3030. Hello. But here's the question mark. Hello. Anything? Okay, so it is exactly the way it looks. When you do hello /string, I guess this is just a type for a type specifier of the parameter. Then you map .name and format the body. So hello anything becomes this named parameter name, and then that named parameter name becomes an argument for format, and it becomes hello format. So if you do this, string hello name other name, can you do that? Format hello name. I guess this should actually just be surname. Hello name surname. I'm just trying to get a feel for the. So what do you do to actually run this? You save it. But then what, does this thing like recompile on its own, or do I need to kill it and start again? Doesn't look like it's recompiling. Cargo run. Let's see, does it? Can't find name surname in the scope, so it looks like there's something wrong with the syntax. So over here the syntax seems incorrect. So let's guess. Let's say name comma surname, right? Let's see if it works. I'm just guessing based on other languages I've seen so far. I'm not actually interested in going to read the formal file spec. I want to look at it and kind of just absorb it in my brain. This is usually my process that I follow. I look at a language, I look at some example, I grab something that's useful. Otherwise I become bored, and then try and figure out the syntax just from looking at it like this. So ideally, that might be the thing. So let's see, does this break? Yes, it breaks. Hello anything else? Yeah, it's exactly as I thought. So you can actually do it. But now if you do this, then you're saying hello /path/path, right? So here's the question that sorry. Here's the question that I had. If I just add path string, right? Can I return just map path? Oh, actually, that should be file name. One day I'll be able to spell file name. This looks a lot like Bash to me, and maybe does Java have that? Maybe Java has it, but I think the Bash has this little curly brackets thing, and you just put stuff in there. I think does Python also have it? No. Python has something different. I think it's got named parameters, if I'm not mistaken. Anyways, whatever. This is a very nice way of doing it. It feels so familiar just trying to code in here. File name to return. I just want to check if I absolutely need to put that hello thing in there, right? So I just want to grab that and say file name. It should be in the scope because I'm saying here's a name, a string parameter, wrap it in a name. Wrap it in this file name, wrap this file name variable that is type of string, map it to this, right? So this is the thing you return in your get request. Let's just see. The request itself, you can actually just serve hello, right? I'm just very paraphrasing this. How do you actually exit the this await here means that you can never exit the server. You need to actually write a function that causes the server to exit. I don't really know how to do that, not yet. I can do some research offline at some point. So let's, yeah, it didn't exit successfully. Let's see if that actually works. There's like always this little bit of anticipation. You make a change and then it's guesswork if the change is going to take or not. So let's see if I say 30 index.html. Yeah, perfect. Okay. Now the next step is rust warp serve file. I want to serve an actual file. Serve static files using warp in Rust. Here we go. I bet you it looks totally different from what I have. Yeah. But it's serving www static, right? So why not just visit index.js? Why JS? You gotta be joking, that little slash threw him off. Okay. Did this guy ask the question? Oh, I thought he asked the question and then answered it. Okay, cool. So, what does warp serve actually do? I'm very curious what talks and example. Silly. Just give me a second while I look up how to add multiple things together. I would like to have a slash diagnostics root which spits out some text that just kind of says this is what's up, and then I'd like to also just serve files all in the same go. So just give me a second to read this. You'll see me move away for like a few seconds. Let me just pause, right? So I've hit a little bit of a snag, right? So I wanted to add in a thing that says when I hit this folder path, right, then grab whatever's in this directory and make it part of the list of things to serve, right? So you can see I've commented out my other stuff here, and I say let root equal hello all files. That's just how you combine these filters. These things are called like filters. But when I do this, even though I've got something in there, it doesn't actually return the something. That's the weirdest thing. And I was looking at this, I can't actually figure out how to how to switch on the debug, right? So this is basically saying if the path is HTML, you should be able to say like something something slash HTML slash whatever's in the HTML folder. And the way it's been explained is that you put this relative to your Rust file, not your target debug whatever file, your Rust file. You create your folder, right, your HTML folder. So this is your local ./HTML, and inside here you've got something, right? So let's try something different. Let's try this. I guess maybe there's a filter on it. I don't actually know if there's a filter on it or not. Let's just edit Notepad++. Open on the other screen. No, like every single time I open this thing, and save, right? So let's just grab that. So now I've got an HTML file with stuff in it. I've got a testing.txt file with stuff in it. And when I go in here, that doesn't work. I'm going to go in here, test.html. No, that doesn't work either. So, like, my question is, why doesn't it work? So, test, nope, test.html, nope. HTML should give me a directory. It just doesn't. It's just false, right? That's kind of garbage. So let's go read some documentation. Warp examples file Rust, right? This is the actual thing from 2019. It's a couple of years ago. But the idea would be, you know, use warp filter. Here's my main async function main. There's my pretty logger. Oh, here's a logger. But this is a file specifically. Is that what's wrong? Is that how you, can you only serve a file that you've registered as readme all the examples? Is that what's wrong? Let's see, how do you serve a folder? Oh, warp serve, warp fs dir. Is warp fs dir a folder? A filter on its own. Let's experiment. So, yeah. This doesn't look right. So, let folder equal warp fs dir. I guess ./HTML slash, and then let hello equals path string map file name to return, and then file goes away. Roots becomes files.or hello. So what this or does is it just combines them in an or relationship, right? Which says either you hit the root and you say slash something, or you hit the root and you say slash, I guess, HTML and something. Let's see if that compiles. I just realized that this thing uses semicolons, which makes me super happy because, you know, coming from an environment that uses C++, a C++ environment that uses semicolons, it makes me happy because now I have one more place where I can forget the semicolon. So yeah, it's been an interesting read. What is folder? It's folder. It's been an interesting journey, kind of trying to learn. I guess it's not really learning Rust specifically. It's more learning warp. But in doing so, you pick up some of the syntax of Rust. And I mean, this is something interesting. Like this, you can just write yourself. Async fn main. It just sounds so awesome. Fn main. You can learn on your own because there we go, building. So let's see, what do we want to do? And to say html slash test.html. That doesn't work. There we go, file name to return test.html. So that lives there, right? Now I want to go slash html slash testing.txt. So slash html slash testing.txt. text. So serving that folder just doesn't seem to work. Even though the Rust example says this is how you serve the folder, it seems like that's not the one. It seems like maybe it doesn't let you combine these. Like, it doesn't make sense, right? Let's just grab this logger. Let's see if the logger does something, right? I'm very curious to see why specifically. So let's take hello off. Let's just eliminate all this other extra stuff. Let's just serve folder. Let's just see if that's actually the reason. Just see. Did I save the Rust file? Yes. I'm very curious. Walk filter folder. What is it complaining about? Oh, really? Do I need pretty env logger? Rust pretty env logger. Oh, crates.io. This is how you do it. In crates.io, it should be this thing. Pretty, what is this called? The visually pretty, yeah, dependencies. Pretty env logger 040. Right? Let's just see the readme. Yeah, pretty env logger equals 040. It's just literally copy. There we go. So how do you install? You put it in the cargo file, right? So you just kind of paste that and say there, I'm done. Do you need to import it? Maybe. Don't know. Don't care. I learned. Sorry, I'm just stretching my back. I learned a lot of weirdness with trying to understand JavaScript modules, and I learned a lot of interesting things understanding pip. Pip is epic, right? Unfortunately, Python suffers from this dependency nightmare. It also suffers from alias hell on a Mac. Like, I spent the Mac is standing over there. I spent such a lot of time learning how to handle the aliases for Python, because by default is like the OS that ships on the Mac. It comes installed with like an old version of Python, and if you try and install a new version of Python, you end up having to either uninstall the old version, which leaves you in this nightmare scenario because half of it is built in, which means you have to kind of delete hard links to it. It's weird. Or you install the new version as like Python 3 and then say alias Python 3, something along those lines. So when you type Python, it actually calls Python 3, and then you need to unset Python. You need to unset Python 2.7, something weird like that. Like, it's such a nightmare. It's like a page worth of documentation for how to get it running on a Mac. Versus, on Windows, you install whatever Python you want and you just start it from whichever folder you need. It's so nice. You also get that little like what's it called? The env, the shebang, hashbang, something. You get this little line at the top of the file that kind of you can put the path to the Python in it, and then mark the path to the bin, the executable of Python that you want it to run, it. And then when you execute the Python file, you actually use like chmod on the Python file to make it executable. When you execute it, Bash reads the path to the executable that's going to interpret this file, and then runs this file with that path. It's like one of the nice ways in Python that this problem is solved. It's just a little bit different on a Mac. It's unfortunate. There's like a whole lot of weirdness going on there. Eventually we got past it. I think you just use you start off with pip3, use the virtual environment, and then from there everything starts working, but it's just a nightmare. I also learned something interesting in C++. Visual Studio has like a package management system. Would have thought, right? C doesn't have any of that. You can manually download the libraries and you put them where they need to be. So let's see, we installed the pretty env logger, which you don't have to use. This seems global, like a static kind of thing in some other languages. let folder equals this .html and just serve that folder. So we're not trying to interpret anything else. We're not trying to say whenever you do slash file name it just prints out this thing. We're just saying serve this folder. So whatever's in this folder I'm expecting to serve. Let's see. So does it work? No. When you put slash html, it doesn't work when you do that. No. Does it work when you say test.html? No. Do I get any kind of logs in here? No. Why don't I get any pretty logs? It would have been nice if I was getting logs here. It would have been ideal. Does the debug console have? No, it doesn't have anything interesting. So right off the bat, you run into this weird problem where it doesn't really give you logs or anything. And it doesn't really tell you what's going wrong. So I guess one of the first problems I'm encountering with this language is there's no easy way to understand this, right? Maybe this dot slash is throwing it off. I'm guessing now. I'm guessing that dot slash is throwing it off. I'll try it and then I'll show you my kind of normal kind of process that I go through. If I run into a problem, I've got this usual process that I go through. I don't really want to spend too much time on this. It's day one, hour one of learning Rust, and already I'm disliking some of what's happening here. Like one of the nicest things is that you've got this crate, and you inside this crate you can just kind of have something. Is the port correct? 30, yeah, the port is correct. So just want the HTML slash, right? Slash testing dot nope, test.html nope, so that doesn't work. So html the page cannot be found, testing.text, and still not, and test.html. So here's the nice thing. So basically you can say I would like to take that, right, and run it exactly like that. Let's just comment out all of this. How do I do that? Nope. Control C, nope, that does something completely weird. Control KC is what is it called in the Visual Studio parlance? It's called a chord. It's a hyper accelerator plus a next key, right? So it's called a chord. So let's just do that. Let's actually just go and make an example /dir folder, right? So I have this thing open. I want thing main.rs, new folder, examples, and then inside it, I guess I want to make another one called dir, new folder, dir. And then from the I want to just copy these two files, specifically those two files, and examples dir paste. So now I'm going to assume this is exactly how this is, right? So let's just grab this examples. Examples is the folder this thing is in, examples, and then inside it's got dir, and then it's got something. Could it be something silly like that? That it shouldn't be examples dir, it should be src html test. Could be something weird like that. Let's first try examples. Nope, that obviously doesn't work. And then dir, and that obviously doesn't work. Okay, so let's look at it. Let's be like kind of pedantic about it. So I've got the source folder, right? So source is my current folder /html / whatever's in there. Let's try that. I'm not 100% convinced, but let's just try that as a as an interesting way of looking at it. I don't really want to spend too much time on this. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I'll go do some reading. I'll show you for like 2 minutes how I usually go about solving the problem. Come on, try, be quick. So test, that's usually, there we go. Yeah, that's usually how it works. So what did we learn? We learned that this top level folder actually needs to be the same folder as where this thing, where the source file sits. So main.rs is in the source folder. So from source /html in. That's not intuitive, right? It's not intuitive, or not intuitive at all. So my suspicion is that my example here would probably have worked if I want to do this and I want to say diagnostics or health or something along those lines. I'd say let info equal walk path string, right? And just kind of map endpoint. It's called an endpoint. Endpoint. I actually want to say if endpoint equals that, right? I saw this earlier. There's a way to serve just files, just to say if my warp if is file /readme warp path x. Is that really how that works? Let's test it out. So the idea would be let info equals warp path x dot map nothing dot format nothing server is healthy. I'm very interested to see if it's actually possible to do that. Like super interested. So info, right? And that is called, sorry, I just need to that is called let info and then folder equals that, right? And then you can actually say let roots equal, I guess, info dot or folder, so either or, and then you just serve those roots, like the combination of those roots. But now what I want to see is if this says info, then I just want to say server is healthy. I'm really curious if that is actually how that works. Do I need this map thing? Do I need, like, what do I need, right? Like, I'm very curious about the syntax for this, because in my mind, one of the nice things, like one of the keys to a good language, is something that you can look at and kind of just figure out, right? Extract warp path internal and opaque. So I guess it's just warp path info. But now, how do you? Let's just look at it again. And warp path.in, warp path.get, warp path.in, warp.fs file slash. I'm not interested in fs file. I'm interested in, like, if I post or what's warp path that dot map. I just want to say, like, if I hit slash something, if the end of the path is that, then map empty to something. Okay, let's see if that syntax works. So format doesn't mean anything without the position argument. It scans through the strings and it just says, like, I don't know what you're doing, right? So let's see what else does it like. Async use warp filter. Yes, I need to add that because I'm now using actual filters. And there we go. So what is this complaint about? What is it complaining about? Is it complaining because I'm denying warnings? Like, I need to go and just read what are all these things. I'm expecting compile errors all the time because I don't know what's going on yet, right? But the idea is, what I want is that if I say server/info without doing anything, I expect it to spit out the service healthy thing, right? And then if I actually say a file name that's inside there, I expect it to do something like spit out the file. So I expect this to still work. So they're testing an HTML file. But if I then go and say info, here we go. That's exactly what I expect. So if you are willing to sit down and spend like half an hour of your life, you can pick up some of Rust syntax, like very gently pick up some of the syntax. It's not as intuitive as I would have hoped. Like, I mean, this composability is something that you get in like JS. You get this what's it called, fluid interfaces. You get this in Java. You get fluid interfaces. C++, or not C, but C++ can do it. Java, JavaScript, TypeScript is really good at these fluid interfaces. I guess Python also has some of that, but not it's not as nice in Python. But I mean, this is something that's composable. I think Java really takes the cake when you do stuff like this, especially when you use a Lombok or Builder. The Builder API is that is just incredible. Like, you can sit and type 4 paragraphs of dot something because the builder does whatever it's called in the function and then returns this at the end. So your function does whatever it needs to do and returns your this pointer, so you can just chain commands at it, and at the end you get like this nice composed object. I think the dot build at the end spits out the final thing for you, but it's super nice. It's super nice. Okay, so we have a way of spitting out HTML files. So this is great. So I can actually go and create an HTML page that contains something useful. I guess I can try and serve a page. Just give me a second while I code up a page and throw it there, and then reference maybe JS and CSS in the page to see if it works like a normal web server. I expect it to work like a normal web server, so I expect to see an actual page, right? So just give me a second. I'll pause this while I code up the page. So here's something interesting, guys. Just want to show you that what I've done in the past couple of minutes is just grab this, stick some CSS in there, reference the CSS here inside the head, put a paragraph there. The paragraph is demarcated with this black color, this black background and white color with a nice margin and border. And then if I try and run it through the server, it actually comes through. So all the requests going to the server that actually specify I'd like to have whatever page, that actually works. So I now have a functioning web server. So whatever I put in that server, I can actually have running. But that's only half of it, right? Or is it? Because if you have a functioning web server, you can actually just like push files to it, right? So I guess maybe next episode I'll try and add in a form that is an upload form. Maybe I can add Materialize to this a little bit later. Materialize is really nice. A friend of mine showed me how Materialize works. Shout out Kitanga. Materialize gives you this really nice UI, and it gives you these really nice forms. It gives this really pretty like way of doing all of this. So I guess I'll try and make it a single page Materialize thing, and all it needs to do is, as it starts up, list a bunch of files. So I need to make a JSON request to the server to say, please give me a list of files in some directory. I guess there will be a separate directory where things get uploaded and downloaded. When you click on them, it should download the file to wherever you are, and then if you say I'd like to add a file, it should upload a file into that directory. That's essentially all I need. So I'll make it a two-part. Part one was just struggling with understanding how this warp library works. It is, I don't want to say it's intuitive. This is not what I expected out of Rust, but The rest of it is fairly straightforward. You can gloss over all of it. It uses semicolons to delineate the end of lines. It uses the select keyword to create variables, and it uses fairly decent string formatting, although I'm not happy with this pipe symbol. The serving a folder is fairly straightforward if you understand that you have to include your source file's current directory as your first argument to serving a directory. It's weird. I didn't expect it to work like that. Usually you just say dot slash, which is your source, this dot slash, and then whatever under it. So I guess live and learn. And then combining roots, it looks a lot like maybe strict JavaScript with semicolons at the end. It looks very much like JavaScript to me. So I'm not, even the async keyword, it looks very much like JavaScript to me. So I mean, this use keyword, I guess, what do we have in JavaScript, like require or from? Is that TypeScript? Import? Whatever, like it's very similar, like the idea, the concept is very similar, but what I see that Rust has that I didn't expect was like very strict multi-threading. I'm kind of tempted to go and explore multi-threading, but I guess that will be maybe a next video. I'll get the source up and link it in the description. I'll create a repository for this and get the source up, and then from there we can actually go and link it in the description. I think I'm super happy with that. We've got a, as far as like languages go, the only other language I've seen that gets you a web server in this little code, like a functioning web server, is like Node.js. Node.js, you import that HTTP, that async IO library, the HTTP, the pretty printer, and then you like define here's my folder, and then you say serve. But what Node.js doesn't give you is let's just go look at this: file server, target, debug. That's it. That's your executable. 7.5 megabytes for a functioning HTTP server. Let's just check that deps folder. Is there something funny in there? There's a bunch of stuff in there. Oh, these libs are huge, like 62 meg hyperlib. I guess a lot of that gets stripped out when you build the executable. It gets compressed and stripped out. So yeah, I think it's statically linked, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it is statically linked. This PDB file, it's a Visual Studio and potentially LLVM type of file. It's very C++-ish. It's just a program debug database. I honestly think if I take that file and I put it somewhere else and run it, I'm willing to bet it's going to run. Like I'm just very much. Let's try that. Let's say Control C. Let's exit that thing so it doesn't live there anymore, right? So if you do this, you should 4.4. Yeah, it times out and then you should give a 4.4. That's fine. There we go. Can't be reached. Let's take this. My daughter is very unhappy about something. Let's just put this like here outside of everything else, right? And then serve it. Does it understand? Does it understand that folder? It doesn't understand that folder. Is it possible to source is inside, and inside it's got this HTML. So let's go fiddle with it. Let's see if file server is smart like that. So let's create a new folder, src, and inside put HTML, and then outside grab file server and put it there. It does move while you work it. Okay, that's fine. So then from there, it's now inside src. It's got an HTML folder under it. Let's see. Let's serve that. File. Oh, there we go. So it's listening. Info index.html. Method get dir base source HTML. Dir source HTML index.html. File not found. Source HTML index.html. So it's rejected. So let's see why. It shouldn't be rejected. Could it be something weird? Let's close that. I'm very interested to understand how to actually go and deploy this. Right? It's like an all-time up. Yep, immediately it just picks up. So when you are running it from the cargo run. Oh, my green screen just went blank. When you're running it from cargo run, you need to be inside that source folder for some reason. And when you are running it as a deployment, like when you've deployed this thing, that then becomes essentially dot slash source slash HTML, which I'm not happy about it because it means I have to do like an extra copy step when I want to try and deploy it, which is fine. I guess it's fine. I just now have to have this extra folder. So all in all, I'm happy. Like, this is the quickest and cheapest you can get a web server up and running if you're also learning a language and understanding syntax to try and figure out what's going on. This pretty env logger is what I'm assuming is giving me these nice logs. So this info and trace logs, it's really pretty. It is really nice because it gives you a way to debug it when you run it. It doesn't give you a nice way to debug it if you do cargo run. I guess I could probably do cargo run verbose to get the same logs out. I guess we'll explore that in the next video, but for now I'm super happy with where this is at. I'll create the repository, upload it, and then when the video is uploaded, we'll go and explore that. We'll look at it a little bit closer. As always, this was that guy saying, what do I always say? What is it that I always say? Wubba lubba dub dub.